don't even really know how to start this, but I was thinking about starting journaling, and the idea came to me that I should do video journaling, because I'm much better talking than writing. But, yeah. What up? My name's Ben Barnett. I'm 18 years old. And, just wanted to say a couple thoughts real quick. I guess I'll probably upload this to YouTube or something. Probably under a different name. Not really that I don't want people to find it, but maybe if it's just me, it'd be kind of this cool little thing. And maybe there's a couple people who find this video. And, if so, my name's Ben, and I'm just gonna talk for a little bit. I know I just said I hate writing, but I wrote down a couple thoughts that I have that I just wanted to talk about. And they're kind of philosophical, and this isn't some, trying to be deep stuff. It's just some things that I like to talk about. I don't know. There's, a lot of shitty stuff going on in the world right now. And I think the one thing that everyone has to learn is that it does get better. And, I feel let me Google. Sorry, 1 second. So, just a little fact that I wanted to read is that, a recent CDC report shows that depression has increased 8 to 13% between 2013 and 2014 to 2021 and 2023. In fact, in 2023, 30% of Americans report they've been diagnosed with depression in their lifetime, and 18% are currently depressed. I guess that's an estimate. Can't actually quote me on that. It's probably 17.8. But, I just wanted to say that if you're going through something, if you're struggling, you're truly not alone. And obviously, everyone goes through different things in their life. I just started university. It's October now. Started early August. And, it's kind of weird going off on your own. I've personally been having truly the time of my life. I don't think I've ever been at a spot where I feel so fit for myself. I think I made a good pick for university. And, I think it's kind of strange being out on your own for the first time. I grew up going to sleepaway camp, and, I think because of it, I became a little bit more individualistic. But, it's very different, being on a 2-week trip without your parents, just living without them. And, the one thing I realized once I got here is just, it's your first time really, truly experiencing freedom. And then obviously there's restrictions and whatnot. You're not truly free yet, I guess. But you're really on your own now, and I think it's really dope. I've just been having the time of my life, being able to do what I want. Try and get outside as much as I can. Try and live every day to the maximum. In fact, I try and limit my time in the dorm, which is funny that I'm recording this in the dorm. I'm about to go out with my good friend Nick. We're gonna drive up into the mountains. Super stoked for that. Maybe I'll record a video. Maybe I'll call it a conversation with my friend Nick. But yeah. So I think I'm just gonna start talking about this thing in some notebook. And I guess the first thing I want to talk about, no real order. These are all kind of about how you need negativity to understand what positivity is. And what I mean by that is, if everything was good in this world, we wouldn't understand what good was. Because if everything was good, there'd be no such thing as bad. And then everything would just be ordinary and the same. It'd just be pretty much the same thing. So I wrote in my thoughts for today, I said, to feel anything good, you must know something bad, or else you'll feel nothing out of the ordinary at all. And I've talked about this a lot recently, and if any of my friends who I've talked to about this recently see this video, I guess you'll probably see that I've been thinking about this a lot. But if you haven't heard the Greek myth of Sisyphus, long story short, super simplified. It's the story about a man who tricked the gods multiple times, and the gods got angered with him, and so for punishment, they sentenced him basically to spending the rest of eternity just rolling a boulder up a hill for eternity. Every single time he gets to the top, and this might not be correct if you're super into it, but the gist of it is, every time he gets to the top, he, Peter looks super laggy right now. Every time he gets to the top, he can't make the boulder to the top, and it rolls back down. So he has to go back down to the bottom, and he has to do it all over again. And a famous philosopher, wrote, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." The quote is the conclusion from Albert, I might pronounce this wrong, Albert Camus' essay, The Myth of Sisyphus. And what he's saying in that is that Sisyphus only knows one reality. That's pushing the boulder up the hill. But he doesn't know a worse reality, and he doesn't know a better one. Because he's never made the boulder to the top, and he never will. And it can't get worse than where he's at. It's always going to roll down to the bottom. So therefore, everything's the same to him. And so if everything's the same, shouldn't he just be happy? Because if he has no idea of a better day, how can he have an idea of a worse day? So he has to be happy. And I personally, that's comforted me a lot. And again, if any of my friends are seeing this, you'll know I talk about this a little bit. But every bad thing that happens to you, you can learn from it. And I can tie this into my next note in just a second. But basically what I'm trying to say is you can learn from everything that happens to you that's wrong. Everything that's bad makes you feel better when you're happy. If you didn't have bad things happen to you, if there weren't bad things in the world, you never understand why you feel so good when something's going right. My next note, I'm sure you guys have seen this all over the internet, is I was just thinking about how you're a mosaic of everyone you've ever loved. And I wrote it a little different. I said, every mistake, every success, every person you love, you hate, every happy memory and terrible nightmare, all make up who we are. We are a mosaic of everything that's ever happened to us. And every terrible thing that's ever happened to you in your life, every amazing thing that's ever happened, every person you've ever loved, every person you've never been able to understand, they have contributed to your character in some way. And everything in life is a lesson. And because of that, I find it deeply fascinating that we despise so much these terrible things that have happened to us. And I think if we took the time to grow from them, I think we'd be a much more grounded set of people. I think you have to understand that you can learn from anything that's ever happened to you, and a lot of people don't. I think that's where depression comes from, is people running away from their problems, quite literally, and not asking themselves, but what does this teach me? And sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's almost impossible. And for some people, it truly is better to run away from their problems. But I think if you take the time to analyze the situation and just think about it, we'd all be a lot better off. Because you can learn from anything. I'm very much a people's person. I like talking to people a lot. I'm not a big fan of solitude. Kind of a person where I really just enjoy talking to other people. It's what brings me joy. Um, that and being outside. And that's a whole nother discussion that maybe I'll have in my next video. But I think talking to people is the only way you can truly learn. Think about it. If you're reading a book, it's really just someone talking to you. You're just reading it. It's kind of a one-ended conversation. But everything you do to learn is often just through talking to people. And I think the biggest lessons you'll ever learn in your life is just talking to someone. I've definitely always been one of those guys who talks to homeless people on the street, helps people when they need it. Sometimes I don't always do a good job. I know I've made mistakes in my life, but I always try and learn from the mistakes I made. And so much has happened in this world. I think we just really need time to slow down and just kind of ask ourselves what we're doing. I mean, I'm going to try and stray from politics and whatnot, but the world is not in a good place right now. I definitely consider myself somewhat patriotic simply because I love America as a country, but I'm really not a fan of where our government's at. And I'm definitely probably liberal leaning, but especially with conservation, I really want to take care of the planet. I think it's the biggest gift we're giving to the next generation, and we're not taking care of it. But without going too far in either direction, I think the art of conversation has died a little bit. And we've stopped listening to other people's opinions. And that's what made our country so great. Was the diversity. Learning from each other, all different backgrounds. Again, this idea of a mosaic, where America was this country where you came to become a better person. You came to grow the experience, to travel, to just, it was the land of freedom and opportunity, and now it's pretty far from that now. Now it's a country that's on the brink of civil war almost, and that probably dramatization, but we're certainly closer now than we've been in a long time. And I don't like this divide at all. I really enjoy talking to people on either side just to see what their opinion is. And there's some people where I just completely and utterly don't agree with them. But I think another thing that people have stopped doing is understanding that you can almost always find something in common with someone. And I think people have gotten to this point where they've stopped caring about what other people think if they don't agree with them. And that's how kind of philosophy and just the art of discussion and debates all started, was people accepting that they had different opinions from each other, and rather than trying to prove each other wrong or saying the other person's outright, this terrible liar or something like that, they would listen to each other. And I think if you look at old presidential debates, you'll really see it. I mean, this has been a recent regression where I don't even know if that's the right word. I didn't wake up all that long ago. I'm pretty tired, but I wanted to get this video out today because I've been pushing it back, and I don't want to make it too long. I know if y'all are still watching at all, I thank you for being here. But when we stopped talking to each other and listening to each other's opinions, I think we lost a lot of what makes America America. And I think it's really disappointing when I hear stories from my grandparents about how beautiful it used to be, where you could openly discuss with people. And we've really lost that, I feel like. I'm not a fan of it at all. And so I think we just need to all start listening to each other again. And then the first thing I wrote, it's a pretty deep thing, but the first thing I wrote in my notes for today is this: I said, I think I saw this somewhere on the internet, but I wrote it down in my notes. I wrote, every human has one thing in common. We're all gonna die. So why doesn't it bring us together? Why doesn't it make us all love each other? And it's true. There's one place that every human is guaranteed to go, and that's that we're all gonna die someday. And I think people have stopped, understanding that living a life of hatred and hating other people is not a beneficial life at all. And if you live every single day hating and just not agreeing with other people and living for the sake of debate and just not understanding other people, it's not the way to go at all. And I'm kind of disappointed with the amount of hatred in the world right now. Because I try very hard to be an optimistic person, and I certainly am an optimistic person. I try and always look on the bright side of life. But it feels like the world's just gotten darker, and people have stopped looking for the bright parts of it. That's how I try and live. That's why I'm going out today into the mountains, because it's where I personally understand myself to be the most at home, is outdoors. And yeah. I think if people lived more loving, the world would be a better place. And I don't think that's a crazy take. And then another note I wrote is live for the sake of living, not as a performance. Live for yourself. Do the things that you love. If I asked you right now, would you take $1 billion? My friend's at the door. I think it's Nick. So I'll just wrap this up right here. If I asked you, could I give you $1 billion? You'd definitely say yes. And this isn't a hard question. It's not supposed to be philosophical in any way. It's, if I offered you $1 billion, would you take it? And maybe you don't want $1 billion. Maybe it's too much. Maybe you give it away to charity or whatnot. But you'd probably take it. Now, if I offered you that $1 billion and you wouldn't wake up tomorrow, I can almost guarantee that you would take that $1 billion, which means that every single day that you live is worth more than $1 billion. And people don't live like that anymore. And I think you have to understand that life truly is precious and our time is so short. There's so much to do, so many places to be, so many people to meet. I mean, here. This is another thing I wrote. We haven't met all the people we will love, or all the people that will love us. And people get trapped in this space where they think, oh, I'm so in love with this person. And maybe it is true love in your mind. Or, I hate this person so much. Or this or that. But it always will get better. There's so many people out there to meet. And not even in a romantical way. There's so many people to love and cherish memories with. Parents, family, people you truly haven't met yet. Maybe they're a stranger to you right now. You haven't met the love of your life yet. Maybe you haven't met your best friend. Maybe you haven't heard that lesson that you need to hear from someone. It's just out there waiting for you. And so I'm just going to wrap this up so I can go with my friend Nick. But I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, that it will get better. And that if bad things didn't happen to you, you wouldn't understand what good things were. So I just want you to go out and live every single day to the fullest extent that you can. I want you to love as deeply as possible. And yeah, Why don't you have a good one? Maybe I'll film another one of these soon, but I'll upload this at some point. And just remember to love.